Hello guys, and I remember very well how at the beginning of my vlogging, many of you gave me really good advice. Anna, keep it simple. When talking about complicated Ukrainian history, political system, and also many of you confessed why. Because for decades, if not centuries, you saw Ukraine as just a rebellious part of Russia. Now the whole world, even those who wanted to remain blind, see Ukraine is very different from Russia. I think maybe our two countries are most different countries in the world in general. The way we treat people, human life, orders, international law. But on the 22nd of January this year, President Zelenskyy signed a decree in which he encourages the support of Ukrainian people that live on territories now belonging to Russia, but which previously were a part of Ukraine. And I thought it would be interesting to record a video where I tell you more about why Russia is a part of Ukraine, not the country. My name is Anna and I vlog daily from Ukraine since the start of the brutal Russian invasion. So if you're new to the channel, you support Ukraine, please subscribe and help us fight against Russian propaganda, fake news and their habit to steal Ukrainian history and children and lives, which is really bad. And my longtime friends, check your subscription status and hit notification button. So it all started, this new wave of interest to Ukrainian territories, borders and history after President Zelenskyy signed a new law on the 22nd of January, which is a day of unity in Ukraine, and was a historic moment when, after the collapses and revolutions of empires, Western and Eastern Ukraine united at the beginning of the 20th century, and we actually had a really long period, an important period of independence, 1918-1922. So on this day, President Zelenskyy signed a law in which he encourages the support and further cooperation with Ukrainians now living on the territories that belong to Russia but previously were Ukrainian. And a very beautiful reminder, of course, we respect international law. We do understand that all countries can review their borders numerous times, and this will cause wars, aggression and problems in the world. And contrary to Russia, we respect all that, and we understand that after the First World War, after the Second World War, these rules, borders were fixed, and we have to respect that, and United Nations has to control that. So I'm speaking about the historical perspective, but not the desire of Ukrainian people to take away something from Russian Federation. No, we just want to return to 1991 borders, which is the legitimate border of modern independent Ukraine. And remember to subscribe if you're new to the channel to demonstrate your solidarity and discover more. So, but historically, and if you Google the maps, and I will leave this link in the description of the video, you may find out that at the beginning of the 20th century in 1918, 1990, and even at the start of the USSR, many Russian territories which border with Ukraine were actually Ukrainian territories. This is a common Soviet Union communist practice, not to divide republics that they occupy according to an old historical border, but to encode conflicts in the existing borders. This is what they did, for example, to Armenia and Azerbaijan, and this is what they did to Ukraine. So all the lands that Zelenskyy enumerates in this order were historically Ukrainian lands, and on 1990 map you may see that they belong to Ukraine. Putin loves maps, but he likes manipulating with maps, and these are the historical records, and you can see them on the link below this video. So according to that, huge ethnographic regions like Kuban, Starodubshchina and Slobozhanshchina that are now part of such Russian regions that you can often hear as Belgorod, which is actually Belgorod in Ukrainian, Voronezh, Kursk, Bryansk and Rostov. They were Ukrainian territories inhabited by Ukrainian people and especially by the descendants of Cossacks. So let me tell you more. People on these territories historically spoke Ukrainian language, had Ukrainian surnames, kept Ukrainian traditions, and respected Cossack history. Even my classmate, whose grandparents lived in Rostov, shared that people on marketplaces, people in their churches speak Ukrainian in Rostov, which is Russia, which is a point from which they like to attack us now. Also, there are lots of Ukrainian traditions, but under the suppression of Russia during Soviet times and now, they started to disrespect their cultural identity. They mock it to some extent, and they do not have any conditions to practice their traditions. Because we know, at least before the start of this war, there were millions of Ukrainians living in Russia and literally no cultural centers. Ukrainian libraries were closed back in 2012 because of sabotage and other fake accusations that Russians are known for. So, Starodubshchina and Slobozhanshchina were historically Ukrainian lands, and Kuban was previously inhabited by various peoples from Caucasus with whom Russians fought, and later Ukrainian Zaporizhia Cossacks, especially after the destruction of Zaporizhia siege, were sent to live in Kuban, and since the end of the 18th century it was inhabited by Ukrainian Cossack descendants. So a very big part of modern Russian Federation that borders with Ukraine was actually Ukraine since the times of Kiev Rus. And yes, my favorite and beautiful reminder. Kiev was founded in 442 and we had 665 normal years before a village of Moscow appeared in the swamps to the north. So there is 665 years of gap between ancient Kiev, that was and is the heart of Kiev Rus, and Moscovia, a depressive region greatly influenced by hordes. So, once again, respecting international agreements and laws, we are not planning to take back these lands. All we want is Ukraine in 1991 borders. But I do want you to understand that Russia mingled, played, manipulated maps, history, public opinion for centuries. That's why many facts, which are real, supported by historic documents and just civilizational processes, are so difficult to believe, because they were suppressing voices of other nations, Ukrainians, Belarusians, Moldovans, Georgians, Lithuanians. They were doing it for centuries, simply spreading the only possible narrative with Moscow and Russia in the center of the world. But we all see how fake that is. So, respecting all that, we also have to share with the world that many of these territories and people on them, deep down in their hearts, in their family histories, were Ukrainians. And after the future collapse of Russian Federation, we will have to do more to help not only Ukrainians, but other dozens, if not hundreds, of suppressed nations return back to their culture, language, and traditions. Because, as a very correct EU motto says, united in diversity, that is the strength, not Ruski Mir. Today was a hard day. Many of Ukrainian cities, Kyiv, Sumy, Dnipro, Kharkiv, were heavily bombed with no serious achievement. They will not break our spirit. They will break our schools and buildings, but our resilience only grows stronger, and I hope yours too. Let me know in the comments below, would you like to have a video on the evolution of Ukrainian map through history? And also let me know, would you like to have a live stream this Saturday, our traditional time, 9 p.m. Kyiv. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons. I'm honored and blessed to have you in my life. Remember to subscribe to my Instagram, Threads, Twitter, and join my Discord community. And also we have a beautiful merch shop with lots of items dedicated to Ukrainian history, cultural heritage, and they work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine. We need your attention and your support. Slava Ukraini!